URC Power Rankings, folks. We're getting towards the business end of the season. We're in this weird week in the middle of the Six Nations where a lot of top tier talent was obviously unavailable. But we still had all the teams in action. And overall, I think that was a decent week for the teams which have been in good form. And a lot of the teams who were struggling continue to struggle. But we're going to rank them based on their kind of recent form and their recent results and whatnot. And you guys can let us know your thoughts. How fair or not you reckon the power rankings might be. 16th, there is no change for the Zebre boys. Sadly, they are still winless. None from 14 to debate about them or Leinster getting a reverse result. It goes on. It doesn't look like either is going to change at the moment, though. Leinster look like going on a unbeaten season, and then Zebre, they just don't look like getting a result from anywhere at the moment. They scored 34 points at home against Connacht. So 34 points is not a bad total, but when you concede 57, doesn't look that great. So, they mounted a weak comeback. Like, they were dead and buried. They came back to make it, like, within, I think, 2 scores. And then Connacht just put them away. So, none from 14. For the Zebre boys, they are the same as last week. The Dragons got in 15th. Their record is 3-11. So that's like 7 losses in a row. They lost 43-14 to Leinster away. Now, believe it or not, I don't think the result was that bad. Albeit against a Leinster depleted side with all the Irish internationals out. They at least showed some heart. They didn't capitulate. They were beaten by some pretty good try scoring from the Leinster guys. They kept tackling the house down. So they gave it a good crack. They just didn't have the skills to beat Leinster or to get close to Leinster. So if nothing else, you can't deny their heart, which is kind of a stink thing to say because that's what you say to make a team feel better about losing. But I genuinely think we're going to get to one of the other teams that maybe didn't show that much. The Dragons guys at least gave it a good go. 14th, we still got the Lions. The Lions are, I think, 5 losses in a row, also on a pretty bad run. They lost 29-7 at home to the Sharks. The questions go on about the crowd at Joburg. It's not great. It always looks the worst of the 4 South Africa teams, in contrast to like the Bulls game played against the Stormers, which just seemed to be cracking. Like, this game was a big old contrast. So I know with Joburg, a lot of the fans sit on the same side as the camera, and they reckon the neighbourhood ain't the best, and people would rather kind of watch it at home, but it's just not a good look on TV, is it? That's kind of going to continue on, sadly. So, I mean, if the team starts winning, maybe they'll get some fans in, but it's hard to get the fans convinced to go, when you're on a 5-game losing run. So, halftime it was, I think, 7 apiece, but then the second half really did them in. So there you go, the Lions in Edinburgh. So none of these bottom 4 teams have changed because they all went on to have another loss. Edinburgh, I think, has won one of their last 7 or something terrible. Edinburgh's on a really, really bad run, man. 5-9 is now their record. They got beaten away 42-14 against the Scarlets. Now, the Scarlets have had a bit of a recent purple patch. That's a good thing, isn't it? The Scarlets have been coming good in recent times. But, man, the Scarlets are still, a team with a pretty heavily kind of negative record. But I guess this is part of the reason we do the power rankings, right? It just shows you the different positions the teams are in. Like, the Scarlets in Edinburgh have now got very, very similar, like, win-loss records. But the Scarlets' losses all came at the start, and Edinburgh's are pretty much all recent. So, 21-7 down at half-time, didn't get any better in the second half. Edinburgh, it's not going good. I mean, obviously, with the Six Nations and whatnot, you're missing players, but they were bad. They were bad before the Six Nations. So, there you go, that's your bottom row. The Ospreys, speaking of sides which kind of capitulated, man, like, they were bad. I know there's all kinds of problems going on at Welsh Rugby. Guys might have other things on their mind. But, man, 58-3 against Munster was just plain awful. They just didn't fire a shot in that game. It was genuinely bad viewing from, the Ospreys side. They were just not in it. Yeah, they looked frustrated. They looked... just not in a good place. So, that result didn't do them any favours. Down 1 spot in the power rankings. I don't know what else to say other than that. That was not a good look. Not a good look at all. In a week where two of the Welsh teams actually got wins and the Dragons, got a expected loss, this was the only one that I thought was really quite bad for Welsh rugby. So there you go. Ospreys will need to show us something else. Benetton, another side that lost. They lost. Speaking of the Cardiff game, away to Cardiff, I watched the first half of that game and it was insane. The start of the game was just bonkers. Rhino Smith continues to do magic things, but the Cardiff guys, the scoreline was just flowing at the start. There wasn't much defence going on. So, Benetton, 7-7 is their record, so kind of mixed, but a couple of losses in a row. See them down a couple of spots. The Albornoz red card at the end certainly didn't help matters. The Bulls, who I mentioned, had a really great crowd. Great atmosphere, lots to like about that. And Nkosi being back and scoring a try, beautiful. Love that. But the result-wise, 23-19 home loss to the Stormers. The Bulls' record is still kind of positive, 8-6, but I think they've only won one of their last 5 in the URC, which is why they are dropping down 2 spots in the power rankings. So, yeah, man, they scored some penalties early, had a 12-3 lead, but, yeah, Stormers just proved too much for them over the course of the 80. Cardiff up 3 spots. The Cardiff boys, like I mentioned, a little bit of a good news story with Welsh rugby not having all that flash news going on at the moment. They broke a couple of game losing run of their own with that 30 points to 13 win over Benetton. The lane train was going on. Ben Thomas was having to do a bit of playmaking work because they had an injury early. Did Cardiff? I thought they did really well. Yeah, and they had a good crowd as well, man. Like, I only watched the first half, but the crowd seemed to be really getting involved, and it was, well attended. So, very, very kind of pleasing stuff from the Cardiff boys. Got them up a whopping 3 spots. Their record is the same as Benetton, 7-7. It's slightly worse than the Bulls. So, Bulls is 8-6, but I think recent form is a touch better. So, there's your bottom half. Ulster, of sides which are not doing that well lately. Ulster down 3 spots, won 2 of their last 6, despite the fact they are 8-5 overall, which is a pretty good overall record. The recent form has not been there. Admittedly, they were away to Glasgow, who are playing phenomenal rugby. The Glasgow are on a heck of a run. So this was kind of a good test. Like, is Glasgow just, getting the bonus of playing the Italian teams more and the Edinburgh side, which is on a bad run? Well, they beat Ulster, who's one of the top-ranked teams. So that was kind of a test for both sides, and sadly for the Ulster boys, they didn't pass it. They did manage to get a losing bonus point at the end through Cooney. They led at halftime 8 points to 5, but over the course of the game, just not enough. So, yeah, down 3 spots for the Ulster guys. Next, the Scarlets. Who would have picked this after their horrendous start to the season? The Scarlets are up in the top half. I got them up another 3 spots. Unbelievable. They've won 4 games in a row. To put that in context, Scarlets have only won 5 games. So their recent run is all positive. Some bloody nice tries as well. Losi with the offload, Fafita showing some gas. Like, if you haven't seen the highlights of that Scarlets game, where they smashed the Edinburgh guys, that one's worth a look. There were some real peaches of moments in that one. So, yeah, man, very, very pleasing for the Scarlets. Because, like I said, it was kind of all doom and gloom at the start of the season. But look at them now. They are flying. Connacht is another team doing pretty bloody well, man. Connacht, 3 wins in a row. Admittedly, they played Zebre. And when I think Connacht, I don't really think maul tries. But they got some maul tries going against Zebre, man. I think they got at least like 3. And maybe set up another from the maul. So, yeah. Connacht scored 57 points, which is a heck of a lot. They did give themselves a bit of a scare when they had the game won. Seemed to switch off, let Zebre back into the game. I only watched the highlights of it, but that's the feeling I got from it. And then once they woke up, they decided to go back and win the game again. So, yeah, there you go. It's a big old bonus point win for the Connacht boys. And rounding out the second row, we've got the Stormers. The Stormers with that 23-19 win. Libok with the drop goal on like 72 minutes. They came back from behind. Stormers' record is good, man. 10 wins. They are the only side other than Leinster to get into the double figures mark with wins in the column. So that's great news for the reigning champions. they did break a couple of game losing run, which is maybe why they are not quite in the top row, because there's a couple of sides above them who are on really nice winning runs. But there you go, Stormers, looking the business. Next is not these guys, it's these guys, the Sharks, top-ranked South African team for mine. The Sharks have a 8-5 record. They beat the Lions away from home. Lions have not been in great form, but it's like 5 of the last 6 for the Sharks. So good recent record. They seem to have got their kind of off-the-field turmoil behind them. Bosch seemed to have a pretty good game, scored a try, set up another try. So pleasing stuff as you get to the business end of the season. They're coming right at the right time. Likewise, these guys, Munster, bad start to the season, but boy, they've turned it around as well. Sometimes, like, as fans, we get impatient. Like, when there's a change of coaching staff, you just expect immediate results, and it didn't happen with Munster. It took a while, but I guess that makes sense. Like, the logical part of your brain knows it takes a while to get into the new patterns, to get into the new plays and set pieces, and just what the coaches want you to be doing. Your logical part of your brain knows that takes time, but the other side of you is just stop playing rubbish. Well, they've stopped playing rubbish, Munster, man. They've won 6 of their last 7. I think their only loss in that 7 was to Leinster. So, man, 8-6 is their record, 58. 3 winners over the Ospreys. Gavin Coombs was on fire. Joey Carberry was putting his hand up. So, yeah, man, it was very, very, very pleasing from the Munster guys. Glasgow in second spot. They've got a 6-game winning run going on. They beat Ulster, like I mentioned, a kind of top-of-the-table rival. They are 9-4, so they've also got a pretty nice winning record, closing in on the double figures as well. Looked pretty bloody cold, but the maul tries in this game were, I guess, trying to heat things up. It was one of those games where it seemed like playing a bit more conservative was the order of the day. The Fraser Brown try was the one that kind of sealed the deal, but they did give away that penalty at the end to give Ulster a losing bonus point. Number 1 is Leinster. There's just no doubt about it. Leinster could lose how many games and still be number 1? 43-14 over the Dragons. And then there's a bunch of guys that I haven't seen before. A lot of you guys have told me these guys are playing under 20s for Ireland, and I believe it because some of these guys just stepped up, man. Leinster's depth is huge. And as I mentioned, I don't think the Dragons were particularly bad. I thought they gave it a good effort, but they just were not good enough. Like Leinster's got this mix of a few experienced guys alongside some of these youngsters, and it just works wonders for them. So there you go, folks. 12 minutes, 13 minutes of power rankings after round 14. You guys let us know how your thoughts are on where you would be ranking the teams. Who do you back going into the business end of the season? I got to admit, like if there was some kind of knockout game between the Scarlets and Ulster right now, I'd probably still be backing Ulster, but then again, like the form does seem to be with some sides at the moment and not with others. So yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. And we look forward to the Six Nations this weekend and some Super Rugby as well. Happy days. Talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.